Yeah, I'm in Canadian. I'm in Celsius, but it's 14 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. But
I think you just double it.
double it.
28.
There
Yeah,
you go.
just double.
Okay, that's good.
I think you double it for Fahrenheit. You double it and add 12.
See, not only are you fun to talk to on the
I just
screen,
made
but
that
you're
up.
super smart with math.
I just made that up.
Okay, that's good. I like it. I'll go with it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this conversation with Dave from True Media Solutions in Canada. Dave's got a bunch of different shows. You want to tell everybody what your shows are, Dave?
Oh, how long is the podcast, Bob? We got a lot
about 5
going on.
minutes. We're good.
Okay, 5 minutes. We're good. Yeah, a bunch of shows. I have a podcast for dads called Dad Space. I have a How to Podcast series, teaches podcasting. Bob has been a great guest on there. An author podcast. So many great things.
Wow.
And I just love podcasting. I think I do 6 to 10 episodes a week, Bob.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's all here at truemediasolutions.ca. That's right. Not to be confused with any other C that's in the internet world.
No. Yeah, CA is because I'm in Canada. So
right, yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you can get the other ones, can't you, up there? I mean, they let you do that.
Yeah, sometimes they're expensive, but yeah.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but you like to have the Canadian branding these days is much more valuable.
There you go.
I would say, I don't know, maybe people have their opinion on it, but I'm not sure. But you do a bunch of the now. I mean, do you do other stuff as well? Because I'm assuming that you don't just do shows all day, right? You do other things too.
I'm a musician. I've been doing music for 45 years. I am old. But yeah, then I also have a job. I have a night job. I work overnights. So I listen to podcasts where I work. I get away with it. And I love listening to shows.
Get away with it.
Yeah.
This is a secret.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. This is not being recorded, right, Bob? Yeah.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. No.
That's not the purpose of this poll process. So yeah, no, that's great. So I mean, it's fantastic. So then how did you when did you jump on the bandwagon, I guess is what I'm curious about, because I mean you're really invested at this point.
Yeah.
And so at some point there was a time where you're like, you know what, this might be fun.
I was doing editing for podcasters here and there prior to the global event, which we will leave at that. And I wasn't podcasting at that point, but I was editing for people.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the equipment because I'm a musician to do editing and recording, and I'd have rehearsals here in my house, send back recordings of the rehearsal to the band so they could hear what we were doing together. Mm-hmm. So I was already doing it. I had all the gear. I'm like, well, why don't I just do this? I love podcasts as a listener. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start. So just before the global event, I started creating my shows, and one show became 9. So now I have a lot. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So that's fun though. I find, to be honest with you, over the years that a lot of musicians do this. I mean, this is like almost a stereotype.
Right.
The fact that I'm not a musician, I am the outlier on all this kind of stuff, because even early days, a lot of people who were involved with this were all involved in music in some way, shape, or form. I think that had to do with, like you said, with having all the equipment and kind of having a certain level of knowledge that makes it a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I do find that incredibly interesting. That, I mean, like probably 7 or 8 times out of 10, if I ask somebody, they'll, oh yeah, I'm also a musician.
Right.
And I do this. And I'm just like, I mean, that's wild, don't you think? I mean, I actually came to it from being very interested in radio, which is gone now. I mean, pretty much. I mean, there's radio, but it's not the same as what it was, right? So that's where my angle that I came in on is like, oh, this is like radio that I can do. Okay, well then I'll do that.
Yeah, if you have a creative bent, or you're just a creative person writing art, music, this is just a natural progression, I think. As I watch you, Bob, the Blue Cat, I see creativity just oozing from you and how you do your shows,
Those are
right?
freckles.
Right.
Those are just freckles.
Those are freckles. Okay. I love how creative you are and how you do your show. I just think that if you're a creative person, podcasting might be something you might be interested in.
That's fun. So now let me ask you this. So when you were a kid, right? Because especially with people involved in music, I think are more prone to this. Did you ever just record yourself on a cassette or something? And I mean, no one ever heard it, but you went through and did a show on your old cassette recorder?
Yeah. When I was dating my wife, which is quite a while ago, she went on a road trip and I wasn't able to go. So I made her like the mixtape. You know the mixtape.
Oh yeah, the mixtape.
But I also added in like talk shows and commercials and I'm like between the songs. I made my own radio show back with like cassettes back in the day. So yeah, I've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, one of my when I was a kid, I was a kid, but probably like preteen kind of time period. The best gift I ever got was a dual cassette system. So it had a LP, played records, and then it had dual cassette and a radio and all that kind of stuff. That was probably one of the best gifts that I ever got because. Well, first of all, I stole music. Unfortunately, that's probably not the best thing to say, but I did. All my friends and I would, whoever had what album, we would make cassette copies. But then the other thing is then you could do minor production, right? Because you had a way to play something and then record, and you could plug a microphone in and you could do voiceover over the top of the music, and play DJ and what have you. And that was just so much fun. I still remember vividly, hours of kind of goofing around and putting together. Well, I guess it would be hours, probably about 45. How much is the side of a regular cassette? 45 minutes, 60 minutes?
Yeah.
So something like that. And it was just great fun. So your journey is probably not that far off, it sounds like.
No, and I think those mixtapes were like our love letters to our girlfriends at the time. And podcasting can be a love letter today without having to flip it over after 30 minutes. Right?
Right. That's funny. Kind of a quick story. So there's a new show on Max or HBO Max or whatever the heck they're calling themselves these days, called Duster. And it's set in the 70s, and he has a Duster vehicle, a Plymouth Duster, and he pops in an 8-track tape, and then it's all fast editing and so forth. And the song is playing. I go, that was great. I mean, it really, kind of gives you the taste of the time. I go, except for the fact that you didn't hear the click in the middle of the song whenever it changed tracks.
Right. Yeah.
Always the best song on an 8-track seemed to have to split a track. I don't know why that was at the time, but I was like, yeah, that was good. Other than the fact that the song kind of played all the way through. And it probably wouldn't have in reality. It would have been like, oh, Barracuda, da, 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 da. Have all the clicking and everything. People don't. I mean, that's this in this day and age. People have no concept of, even the slightest inconvenience of those kind of things back in the day that you put up with to have your music. So. Yeah. Did you have any 8-track experience? I was really young. My brother was an 8-track aficionado. He's older than I am, but
those things weren't easy to transport around either. They took up a lot of room in the front seat of the car, right?
No. You had to steal a lot of milk crates to take all your 8-tracks with you.
I think we're confessing to a lot of things here on the episode today.
Oh, wait. Yeah, right. Wait a minute.
Again, we're not recording this, so we're fine. So it's good.
The statute of limitations is way past due.
We're fine.
If Metagold wants their milk crates back, God help them. I don't know where they're at, to be honest.
There's a link in the show notes. Reach out to Bob. He'll be happy to get your email.
I'll be happy to make restitution at any point. Yes. But no, it's funny though that all these kind of things, and I mean, it in hindsight, as we're looking back at all these things, it lines up perfectly. It's almost like, a straight pull shot into the pocket where you have all these kids doing these things, and then as the progression of technology hits, it all lines up to say this is what you can do. This is where
Right.
it's going.
Yeah.
But everybody, now you get people pontificating. Well, how come this is so popular, and how come this is so that? And I'm like, I don't know. If you look back, it seems like a pretty simple, 100 million step process, and we got there.
Right. Yeah. And what I love about podcasting is you don't need permission to do any of this stuff. You don't need to have a team. You can do this on your own. You don't need a
Mhm.
radio signal. You don't need a studio. None of that stuff, right? Anyone can
Yeah.
share their voice. And I love that part of it.
Well, and that jumping up to today now, I'm really jumping around here today, but jumping up to today, when you look at things online, they tell you you do need all that. They don't need a radio signal, but you do need a team. You need this, you need that. And I've always joked here over the last, well, you said the global event. I'll say the global event. Since the global event, I've always joked. I said, you'll make way more money selling something to a podcaster than you will podcasting, because that seems to be the trend, right?
Right.
Everybody's selling, oh, you got to have, XYZ. If you want a podcast, you got to have, all of your, branding done professionally and all this kind of stuff. What's your take on? I mean, obviously you kind of alluded to it already, but the ancillary stuff for podcasting, what's your take on that?
Everybody seems to want a little bit of that podcast money from us as podcasters. I'm getting emails all the time, for this amount of money, I can do this for you. And again, as a solo creator, I don't have the money to invest in everything that I would love to see, but
Sure. Yeah.
But B, I love the creative process. People say I hate editing. I love editing, Bob. I love the craft of editing and make something sound great. I love fixing things. I get people reach out to me. They're like, I got terrible audio from my guest. What can you do? That makes me happy. I'm like, I want to go in there and see what I can do to make that better. Right. So that lights me up. So anytime I can do stuff like that makes me happy.
That is great. I mean, this is I have edited many times over the years, and I've become one of these people who is avoids editing now. Right, as I've gotten older, I avoid it, and so. But the weird thing is that at least my proficiency in producing has risen with my desire to not edit.
Right.
So that works out pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, editing is always one of those chores sometimes, and it kind of depends. I mean, everybody, I think this media, well, we can call it a media at this point. I think it's definitely a bona fide media, is really becoming the training ground for people to learn how to speak publicly again.
Right.
I think that there was a time prior to this where if you wanted to do any kind of public speaking or anything, you had to go take some kind of correspondence course or go to your local college and do classes and so forth. But now with this, anybody with an inclination can get on and essentially develop that skill. And I think that's kind of interesting. It's kind of a a feature that nobody knew was going to be written into the software.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just happened. You said you were a musician, so you had to have some amount of that anyway, if you're going to play in front of people and so forth, but not in kind of a long form conversation though, would you say?
Yeah. I think there's so many great tools to help you these days, but just the getting on the microphone, and you're going to be a better person in the process of doing anything creative, writing a book, creating a podcast, making music. It's going to change you over time, and you're going to improve to the point maybe we don't have to do as much editing, which is great, because then that transfers in public to a stage when you stand in front of a group of people. you don't have the opportunity of having somebody take out your ums and ahs in a live setting. Nobody's off the side of the stage editing you in real time. You're you. So if you rely too much on the editing and you never become better as a human or a blue cat, you will never develop to the point where some of these things becomes easier over time as you do more and more of this.
Yeah. When would you say was the first time that you had to get up in front of a group of people and, gather their attention and be the show?
Many of the times in my career in the past, I've had to either lead a team or speak in front of a group of people. And I never felt really prepared for that. You don't do it often in whatever role you're in, unless you're in media or some kind of content creation. You're doing a typical job like with everybody else. And when everyone's attention turns and looks at you, you melt inside for a second. You're like, I don't have the skill set to do this in the moment. But again, going back to it, the more you do it, the better. Yeah, I can remember speaking in front of a high school as a guest speaker, and there's like 200 students who have the attention span of a grape looking at you going, I don't care what this guy has to say. Right.
What were you talking about?
I was there talking about kind of a motivational talk to these kids, and all the teachers are lined up against the back wall of the auditorium. So I'm not only talking to the kids, I'm talking to the teachers, principals there. And so what I did is I brought a box of cereal, and it had a toy inside. And I reached into the box and I pulled out the toy, and I'm like, so I brought a gift for all the students. You're going to have to share this because I only have one. And so I handed it to somebody in the front seat, and they started passing it around. But
we probably got enough cereal for
right. I have enough cereal for everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one piece of cereal and one toy to share. But that kind of broke the room up and made it a little bit more like, oh, this isn't your typical boring speaker, right? So
I thought for a minute you're going to eat the cereal. That was what I was
stand there and eat it in front of me. Yeah.
You got a gallon, you got a half gallon of milk, you got a bowl. You're just gonna, okay, guys, this is the breakfast talk.
It's a performance art in that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be great.
But read the room, right? Figure out how you can serve them, and don't come in with one focus saying, I'm going to do it this way. Your audience is always different. So yeah, just read the room.
That's right. So do you have a favorite of your shows, your cadre of shows that you have there? Is one of them you're like, this is the show. This is my favorite show. I love doing this show. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, right? It's tough because they're all my favorite. Otherwise, I probably scrap them. Yeah. My Living the Next Chapter podcast is an author show. And that I've been doing for 3 years. I've got 570 episodes in 3 years, 3 a week. And then every November, we have a challenge for podcasters to do a daily episode in November. So for the last 3 years, I've been doing 30 in a row every November as well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, right?
That's a bit much, I would say. Yeah.
That's a fun one. I've had a lot of great guests
on me whenever I do more than 2 in a week. So
there you go.
I'm just saying, I don't know where you're sleeping, but it may be the couch. I don't know.
Well, again, it's a good thing this isn't been recorded, so she'll never know. There you go.
No, that's fun though. That's fantastic. Now, you have books as well, right? You've written a book, haven't you?
I'm in the process of writing a book at this moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
I remember you mentioned that somewhere. So
yeah, I'm good. I have a dad space podcast where we talk to dads about dad stuff. So I'm taking my content and taking all the transcriptions and then reworking them into an actual book. And I've got 180 episodes in that show. So there's a lot of great stuff. And I'm like, it's great that it lives in a podcast, but I think it could easily be transferred over to a book and help even more people. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
And as far as the book process, how's it going, and how are you pulling that all together? I mean that's in itself a big project. I mean, most people just say, okay, my only project other than living is I'm going to write this book, right?
Right. Yeah, and I have new episodes all the time, so I'm going back in time and capturing what I've done, but I'm also capturing what's coming at the same time. So my wife and my daughter are helping me by grabbing the transcriptions for all the episodes,
Mm.
combining them together, grouping them by topic, so that I can then use that as a foundation for my chapters. So I would suggest for anybody that is writing a book.
Have
that
a
I-
wife and a daughter,
I
apparently.
do have a wife. Yeah, I do. I have 3 kids. Yeah. I would suggest anybody who wants to write a book, if you think about writing it in real time in front of an audience, each episode could become the basis of a chapter of your book.
Mm.
And then people can listen to you write the book in real time and then celebrate the book launch with you at the end of the podcast. It's kind of a cool idea.
Do you have a time, the launch time for yourself set, or is it kind of a fluid?
It's probably going to take me enough time this year with all the other stuff going on. That'll probably be early next year that I'd be ready to get that in the world.
Yeah. Do you know what you're going to call it yet, or are you just going to call it the same as the podcast?
I don't know. Like, the general crux of the book idea is around something that happened to me when my oldest was born.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the hospital with the doctor. My wife's ready to give birth to my son. And the doctor looked at me and said, nobody's going to catch you if you pass out. So you're on your own here.
That's always
right?
comforting, right?
That's right. That's nice. We're all here for your wife, which I appreciate. That's why we're all here. But the doctor then said to me, there's nobody here for you. And at the moment, Bob, that didn't really connect with me the way it did the next day. Because everybody, all my family had gone home. My wife is resting. I'm holding my son. And all I could think of was, there's nobody here for you. And I'm like getting really scared. I'm like, that's true. No, there is nobody here for me. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to mess this up. Right.
Without a net.
Right. I need that support. So that's why I created the podcast. But I think there's a book idea in there too about the dads that feel like there's no one there for you when there actually is. So here's some stories from dads. Here are some life lessons that can help you navigate becoming a dad and be the resource that I needed in that moment. So that's kind of my focus.
That's scary. And that's kind of I mean, it was probably good that they mentioned it to you so that you weren't expecting anything.
Right.
Everybody just be transparent. Guess what? You're on your own, buddy. If you feel faint or lightheaded, get out of the room because we're doing work here.
Yeah, we got something.
But it's kind of really, a biting statement there. It really is quite harsh.
Yeah.
The way that you delivered it there is like, oh, well.
No pun intended with that one, by the way. Delivered. Yeah. Well done.
When my first kid was born, and I did this story for our show, I was so incredulous that they kept throwing everything on the floor, like all the wrappers of everything. I was picking them up, and I joked with my wife, I'm like, I should be making at least minimum wage today. Because I'm cleaning, I'm doing clean as you go. They're throwing stuff everywhere. I'm picking everything up. I'm putting it in the trash can. I am earning my keep.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the breathing and the, all that stuff. Yeah. But she, I think she just told me to be quiet.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't believe they're just throwing stuff everywhere. There's a perfectly good trash can right over here in the corner.
This is a great idea. I should come up with something. Yeah.
I'm taking care. I got to take care of all this trash. So yeah, because I couldn't do anything else. So
yeah,
I was there, but I needed something to do. I couldn't just hang out. So put myself to work. But then I felt like I deserved, something. Maybe some coupons for the cafe or something.
They're probably wondering the whole time, who let this blue cat into the room?
That's right.
Like, what is going on here?
What's this cat cleaning up for? We don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, that's right.
But that's interesting. So, but you said you have several children, and so, but only one of them really has an interest in the book. Is that something that they themselves want to do, or is that? Or is it punishment? I mean, where are we going with this?
they're voluntold. They're going to help me with this for sure.
Okay, but the other kids, they don't like. Where's your kids at in all this? All these creative endeavors are, any of them like, at the hip, or are they all like, yeah, whatever?
Some of them are like cool. Some of them are like, well, whatever you'd like to do, go do that. But they do listen, which is interesting to hear their dad talk about being a dad
Mhm.
to your kids, and your kids are listening to your stories. I love the fact that podcasting is also a form of legacy for me too, to get on there, share my stories. My kids can listen to this. It's kind of rewarding to get on there and capture that. I tell you, Bob, I lost my dad a long time ago. I'd give anything to be able to press play and hear his voice anytime I wanted. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So that's another bonus of podcasting.
You're right. That is an interesting statement, and that's something that I've thought about as well, because so my father was a fairly quiet person, right?
Yeah,
He
me
passed away
too.
a few years ago, but every once in a while, he just let out a zinger, and it was, but none of that's captured, right? And
Right.
so this whole idea of what we're doing now wasn't part of the past. And so I don't know that he would have been interested in it. But I always wished at some point that I had kind of, somewhat forced him into it a little bit. Because I mean, he was alive for a long time while I was doing this, but I never kind of pulled him in because
Mm,
that wasn't his comfort zone,
right.
right?
Yeah.
But you're right. I do wish that that I had probably been a little bit more, um, you know, forceful with him and tried to get him to do something.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting. The weird thing is my mom talked constantly, and I still hear her voice, even now. And so yeah, it's a difference there, I suppose. Not that there's nothing negative to it, but it was just kind of funny that the difference between the two of them.
Right.
And so yeah, it is a bit of a legacy thing. The funny thing for me is early on doing this, been doing it for a bit. So my kids both grew up through this, right?
Right.
So I have lots of stories about my kids when they were not aware of them even being themselves, right? So
Yeah.
babies and
Yeah.
toddlers and things. And I have lots of stories about that. And so, yeah, they're all cataloged somewhat. I mean, I wish I would have done a little bit better job of cataloging, because the titles don't necessarily match up to these kind of things directly. And I do have blurbs, but I've always been a big fan of kind of the TV guide synopsis of things.
Hmm.
And so all of the descriptors are very brief, and it wouldn't necessarily say, kid falls down or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so it would be tough for them to find. I'm hoping AI in the near future will help me with that, because I'm extremely lazy. And I want somebody else to listen to everything and jot down the particulars.
Yeah.
Although I have tried using it here, like now, and it doesn't always do a good job.
Right.
What,
Right.
what's your feelings about all this they call it I don't call it artificial intelligence. It's not. Everybody keeps trying to push it in that direction, but I'm firmly in the camp that says there's really not any intelligence here yet. It's artificial, and it looks really smart when it does things because it can do them so quick, but that has nothing to do with being intelligent. It has everything to do with being a computer,
Right.
and being able to process things, immensely faster than us.
Right.
So what were your thoughts?
I like assistant information in
Oh, there
that,
you go. So
right?
you're trying to hang into the AI there a little
Yeah.
bit. There you
Yeah. The idea that it's there as a tool to help you. Like there's times where, Bob, I'll think of an episode I want to do on my show.
go.
And in my mind, I have four main points I want to cover. I'll go there and I'll look and see if I'm missing something. And it's like, oh yeah, you're missing this idea. I'm like, I never thought of that. I only know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know.
Mhm.
So there's opportunities for me to learn all the time. I'm always listening to shows and following books and all that stuff. So I think we can always learn something new. So there's probably something that could be added to what we're doing. But I think the biggest thing is when people abandon their creativity and become a servant of the tool instead of the tool being a servant of you. That's where it gets a little bit for me. I like creative people with their own stories, their own voice, their own outlook, their personality, their quirks. I like that. That's kind of what gravitates me towards a creator that I love.
So you're okay with them doing the grunt work. You don't want them to be the main person there, the main part of the production.
It's kind of a snake eating its own tail, where everybody goes and everybody uses the same tool and everybody starts to sound like each other and nothing's new. And then AI is picking up on AI and AI is regurgitating AI. And there's this big circle going on of AI and AI and AI. I think when all that happens, somebody unique like you and how you podcast, for me as I podcast, as we step up with our own unique voice, it's different than all the vanilla that's happening out there in content because it's us, right? There's only one of us. So
well, we hope. I think there's that's what I'm shooting for. That I think I'm there, but who knows? I mean, but I think the interesting part to me is we're being sold AI right now. This is the heavy sales period, right? This is the tough sell, the hard sell. Everybody, this and that. And that. So, and I've constantly, personally, I don't know if you do this, but this is what I always do. I'm always experimenting with things. Like I always want to find something and try something. Like that's where the cat comes from. Yeah. And so today, I try to do it almost every day, which seems, sometimes I think it's insane to do this. But anyway, so today I had to make a simple graphic, which I know how to do, and Photoshop or what have you, right? And I thought, okay, today I'm going to see what AI is going to give me. And so I'm like this, I'm going to be, in another 10 years, I'm going to be this, elderly man on the side of the road complaining about his artificial intelligence module or something. So I type everything into the AI, and I did this on 3 different AIs: Gemini from Google, Copilot from Microsoft, and Perplexity, which I don't know who it's affiliated with, to be honest with you. And none of them gave me something that was acceptable. And I gave them all the same instruction. Yeah. I want 3 choices. I want just this information. I want it to look modern. I want it to look interesting and modern. With just my text that I gave you. Don't add your own text, right? Because it does that for some reason. And make it look good. Boop, boop, boop. It keeps adding its own text. I'm like, and so I got into this fight with the AI. I'm like, no, just my text. And in the picture, some of them wouldn't do a picture. I said, it's some type of nice image. I give them an idea of what image I wanted. And then it just devolved into me yelling at the AI, typing, telling them that they're not doing it right. No. And then they kept apologizing. And I'm like, why is this thing apologizing to me? Yeah. Because it's a machine. It could just say, I don't know how to do it. Right. Instead, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My programming does not allow. It's like, right. I'm like, I feel like I'm berating C-3PO and he's talking back to me. Right. But anyway, I eventually just I did it for all 3. I gave up on all 3 and I just created it myself. Yeah. Yeah. There's somebody do you do stupid things like this too? Oh, Dave? all the time. That's kind of my go-to. There's one guy I know, he's a minister, and he was asking AI for help with a sermon he was going to write. Mm-hmm. And after it was all done, AI said, oh, he's like, thanks for all your help, blah, 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 to the AI. And then the AI said back to him, you're welcome, and we'll be praying for you. Oh, really? Like, wait a minute, AI is going to pray for me? What the heck is this? So anyways, that's pretty weird. Only on my off cycle. Yeah, right. I did have somebody who found my Dad Space podcast
through ChatGPT.
Really?
He went in and said, I'm looking for a podcast that covers these topics. What do you suggest? ChatGPT came back and said, you should check out Dad Space by Dave Campbell. So he came to me, are listening. So again, people are using AI in different ways to create a chart, to do all these things, to create the baby podcast that people love right now. There's all these different things going on. But that I was found as a search. So there's a search capability as well.
Yeah.
I find it rewarding.
And I think that is essentially our current state of AI is just next level search.
Right.
That's really what it is. I mean, yes, you can do these other things, but it does it so poorly. And I've now this last year, I've done all my artwork for Static Radio has been AI generated as much as possible. That's been my goal because I wanted to learn, right? So I always give myself a task, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn, and so I've been trying to, but it can't always get it, and then I end up, it's kind of like model photography, and I mean models as in models for clothing.
Yeah.
None of them look like that because somebody goes into the background and touches it all up, right?
Yeah.
And or nowadays we use filters, but so that's what happens is I start with a base that is the AI version, and then I go in and make it what I want it to be, because the AI version can't make it what I want it to be, and so yeah, it's all retouched, which I think a lot of stuff is. I think that we're kind of being sold a bill of goods right now in this space in order to get everybody to buy in. But the reality is there's a lot of really talented people who are making a lot of this look better than it really is.
Right.
That's my guess. I mean, I'm not overly involved in the space, so I don't know for sure. But as I'm looking at things, I'm like, I can't get that. And, I think I know what to say, because I know how to do it without going through this.
Right.
But, it's one of those weird situations, I guess. And I guess my other, and I'm sorry we're getting off of the AI conversation here, but my other question for you would be, do you... No, I've lost my question here all of a sudden. No, do you, for the AI stuff, do you think that, why are we being sold this? What's the end game in all this? Why do you think that there's such a hard sell going on right now?
There's a lot of people coming to podcasting and content creation with very limited skill sets. Again, they haven't done like this stuff before. They're looking for an easier way to do it. They're looking for an easier way to do it without having to understand like audio editing, for example. I can just upload it to a platform. It'll do it for me. One click and I'm done. So there's that side of it. But again, I think all of these tools make people like you and me who do it kind of a different way, kind of the older way, to be kind of in demand, because we can do things that a tool to date can't do the same way that we can do. So again, when I had somebody reach out recently and they're like, this audio is terrible. I've tried all of these different platforms. Nothing's working. What can you do? Now I'm going back to me with my 2 tape recorders going, how can I make this better? Right. Because I have that history. So I'm going to come at it from a creative way that maybe some of these tools can't, which makes me stand out and a little different and in more high demand, because I can do what the tools can't do yet. Will they replace me at some point? Maybe. But for now, I find that I still have an edge where I can come in there and do something that other people and other tools can't.
That's cool. And so you still edit for people then? I guess I didn't think about that. I thought once you had 10 shows or whatever, it'd be like, all that's out the window.
Yeah. No, I have edit for a couple doctors and speakers and stuff in the US. I'm in Canada. So wow. I love it. I love helping people. So I do that all the time.
And that's all under your the banner for True Media. Okay.
Great.
I didn't know that. So you look at that. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's why I had to talk to you, because I'm, I can type it in, but then, what's the fun in that? Right. Well, that's cool. So then, wow, you are a busy guy. Oh my gosh. Do you ever watch TV, Dave?
Bob, I love television. I used to watch so much of it, but now my wife will come home from work. We'll sit down, have dinner, watch a couple shows. I get antsy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could be doing so much more right now. And she just looks at me like, just could you shut it off for 5 minutes, please? Right. But my mind starts wandering. I'm on my phone, I'm answering emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love doing this.
So where do you think this all is heading for you? I mean, as far as all this goes, obviously you've got all these things cooking. What's around the corner for you as far as that goes?
I'd love to keep helping people with their podcasts and being a tool and resource for them and supporting them, coaching, whatever I can do. There's people who've been doing this a lot longer than I have, but I find that I have my own unique path and kind of my own unique approach. So I'm all about community. I'm not about a single voice trying to teach people my way to do something. I love leveraging the experience of others so that we can learn from each other. That's kind of my approach for my shows and how I show up in this world.
Oh, cool. Now, you mentioned that you were older. I'm not going to ask.
You can ask, Bob. You're a blue cat. You can ask me anything you want.
No, it's all right. I mean, but I mean, are you thinking about this as far as people think about retiring, they retire
Right.
from whatever their career is, and then when they retire, then a lot of people come up with something new. So do you think whenever you decide, okay, I'm going to stop with the regular workaday world, and then when I get done with that, here's what I'm going to do?
Right. There are more older people today than there are younger people. So there's a lot of us kind of getting into that age group where we're going to be retiring at some point. So I do think this would be a great opportunity. The key there is to what you said, is to still be up to date on what's happening with all of these great tools and AI and all that. Still learning, still active, still relevant, and to not just do it the old way with the 2 tape recorders. You still have to kind of adjust and grow. That's my only challenge, I think, for anybody thinking about getting into this, is that there is a little bit of a learning curve, but there's some great people out there who can help you to learn to do what
I'm
you're doing.
getting a reel-to-reel and a box of razor
There you go.
blades and some tape, and I'm gonna go to town.
And I'll be munching on my cereal watching you do it.
Did you ever have to edit like that? Where you had a reel-to-reel tape that you were editing? Oh my gosh.
With the cutting it and actually
Yes.
splicing it together.
Oh my gosh. What a pain
People
in
are
the
like,
neck.
what are you talking about, you two? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that's not a game, to be honest with you. Somebody should gamify that, because I could see that, you have all these stupid puzzle games out there, right? Can you imagine? That would be a puzzle game. Would be splicing together tape.
Yeah.
Because it was a puzzle game back, I mean, in the day. And because you can't see what you're just cutting because you're rubbing it across the playhead. But anyway,
And no
I don't know.
undo button either. You can't undo it.
Right, that's right. You make the cut, you're
Yeah.
done.
You're done.
Yeah, we hope they have another copy, perhaps, that if you have some like really bad disaster going on there. But yeah, that could be a game, I think. Oh, we'll call it. It'd be like I don't know what you call it. Edit death or something. Sounds like
Yeah.
a good name for it. And it sounds like one of those old Japanese games where they, kind of got the titles wrong. Oh yeah, everything was death or dying or something.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, thanks for being with me here today, Dave. I really enjoyed talking to you. It's so fascinating. I'm so happy that this is one of those funny things, and I think people miss this a lot of times in their lives. It is so nice to talk to somebody who is so happy with what they're doing.
Mm.
It's contagious, don't you think?
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lack of people in this world that bring joy to the world and joy to the people that they interact with. You're a great example, Bob, with all of your experience and knowledge and going way back to the original days of podcasting, to still be here and serving people and making content being so unique and creative and how you present your show as well. I'm just a huge fan. I tell everybody about you, and I
Oh my
send
gosh.
everybody to the Blue Cat because I just think it's so fun. Like I told you before, it's like Saturday morning cartoons to be able to sit here and talk with you. It's really, really fun for me. So
Now I wish I knew like a 70s, 80s Canadian cartoon I could do. I could do Klondike Cat, but I don't know if that was big in Canada.
there you go.
Did
Well,
you
I don't
remember
know. Yeah,
Klondike Cat and
no,
Savoir-Faire? No?
no.
Okay.
There you go.
He was a French Canadian mouse, and Klondike Cat was a northern cat. No, none
There
of
you
this.
go. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Savoir-faire is everywhere. Wow, big bits meat out that mouth. That was the voice. That was my interpretation for
That was
Klondike
well
Cat.
done. Well done.
And Savoir-faire, which was actually one of my favorite cartoons way back in the day. So
if we've broken any copyright law, again, reach out to Bob Lement.
yeah, I think
Contact
we're
information.
okay. It was
Okay,
just
good. All right.
Well, I'm not the original voice or anything.
there you go.
So, you know, it's homage. It's homage.
I did have a chance to talk to the original writer of every Inspector Gadget cartoon
Really?
episode. He lives in Toronto, Canada, and it was fascinating. He wrote every episode. I'm like, so cool to have him on my show. But yeah,
Go
it's fun.
Gadget Fingers.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching that cartoon after
Yeah.
school. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. What was there was a cat in that as
Right.
well,
There was a cat. Yeah.
and the bad guy, he had a real deep voice, and I'm trying to remember his name now, though. I can't remember his name.
I was gonna say Dr. Evil, but that's not it. Yeah.
And then they had his niece, Penny. Penny.
That's right.
Oh boy, we're really dragging it out of my brain today. And then Inspector Gadget was Don Adams, I believe.
There you go. Yeah.
He was the voice of Inspector Gadget,
There
which
you go.
was Get Smart and all this
Yeah.
other kind of stuff. So, yeah. And he was Tennessee Tuxedo as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Today
Good
on
stuff.
Trivia from Cartoon Trivia, Dave and Bob talk about Go Gophers.
There you go. I love it. It's great.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave, for being here. Hold on just a second while we finish up. And everybody, we'll see you next time.